Detroit Lions fans, Detroit Den 313 with Stephen Will back with another episode, post-game show after just a phenomenal game. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be on deck today. I had to work today. I was watching via my tablet. Didn't even have a TV, Steve. The world just wasn't right today outside of what happened. But you were there on deck holding it down for us. And I got a question right out the gate. I'm not playing. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I think so. I don't know.
So if you had to describe how the Jacksonville Jaguars played today, how would you describe it?
I don't think Jacksonville should have even gotten off the bus today. Honestly, when they got off the bus, they maybe should have just stayed in the locker room, played video games, caught the 1:00 slate from there, and just checked it out. They went up and down up the field one time and kicked a field goal. Other than that, that was pretty much writing on the wall. Like it was embarrassing for if I were as a Jags fan, I would be calling for someone to be fired after that game because the Jags don't look good. They didn't look good in any aspect of the game, passing, running, defense, walking out onto the field, warm-ups, drinking water, looking at tablets on the sidelines. Like nothing that the Jags did today looked good, William.
Yeah, I would say I confer with that. I would say, but if I'm more of a visual learner, you know what I mean? So if I was going to describe how the Jacksonville Jaguars played, I would use art. That's just how I am. I had a little extra time on my hands today. So let me bring in a picture because this is what I envision when I see the Jacksonville Jaguars playing football this afternoon. It was ass. They played ass cheeks. It was terrible. It was
got to
terrible.
do my guy Mike like that. Boy's caked up.
Yeah, it was a good old-fashioned beatdown, man. Leading into that, real quick, I gotta say this, and I'm gonna put my mom is gonna be mad. Mama Ford, Mama Horn, don't beat me up for putting our business in the street. But Steve, I was not always the gentleman that you know today, right? When I was young, I had a little mouth on me. A little sassy. And I remember a time where I told my mom, I said, she asked me to do something, and the words just rolled out of my mouth. Shut up.
Oh boy. Hey,
Mom,
strikes 1, 2, and 3 right there, boy.
Hey, shut that mouth, Mom. Cut it off. And she hit me so fast that I couldn't even talk, right? And I deserved it. She got me, she popped me. I cried a little bit. I went on about my business, went on about my day, right? And that reminded me of the Detroit Lions' first couple of drives. We punched them right in the mouth and scored touchdowns. But I thought it was over. It wasn't over. She came back with a belt, Steve. And she beat me in a way that forever changed my life. I'm a grown man. I'm not gonna put my age out there because I'm old, but I got decades and decades behind me here, and I still remember it to this day. Mom, you should be ashamed of yourself. But I say that to say I have some advice for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sleep on your stomach, because I could not sleep on my ass because my ass was tore up. Sleep on your stomach. If you are a Jacksonville Jaguar, if you are a coach, if you are an owner, if you are a player, hey, sleep on your stomach because that ass is going to need some time to heal. Steve, where you want to start this thing off?
I got a question. I want to know why Mama Ford stopped. Like, why didn't we just keep going? Why didn't we, tears? Like, hey, if you cry all you want, maybe the more you cry, the more I'm going to go. Tears give me energy. That's what I would have said if I was Mama Ford.
She'd still be beating me because there was a lot of tears. I'm not even about to play games.
I think we always start with positive news. There's some negativity we'll talk about later in the show. Alex Anzalone, we'll get to that. I think the hot topic for the day is we talked about it in our pregame show. Jared Goff, bounce back game. Is he going to happen? I think we can just go ahead and say that, yeah, Jared Goff's back in the MVP race, back in the best quarterback in the NFL graces. Like, this dude put on a passing clinic today. Now, we've seen him have games like against the Tennessee Titans where he's efficient, throwing for 3 touchdowns, but only like 84 yards or whatever it was. No, not today. 24 of 29, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 touchdowns, 412 yards, a quarterback rating of 158.3. I believe that's perfect, if I'm not mistaken. Perfect. Also, he was flirting with having 100 yards on the ground, Will. Flirting with it, he was. All right, I'm just going to throw his rushing stats out there. Buckle up. It's insane numbers. 4 rushes for 21 yards, okay?
Hey. Listen, vanilla thick, as you say.
If he had one or two more drives, I think he was like Jahmyr Gibbs today, like one broken tackle away from breaking that long one and going for 80.
I understand. I don't know about that, but I'll roll it.
How'd you feel about JG?
Yeah, phenomenal, man. Phenomenal game. We talked about it before. Both you and I believed that he was going to bounce back and have a phenomenal day today. Now, I didn't know that he was going to go off the way that he did. It was even crazier than I thought it was going to be. But the combination of things, man, with Ben Johnson saying that he felt like the offense wasn't carrying their weight of the team. Well, they were having success, but they weren't in comparison to what special teams and defense was doing. He felt like that they weren't doing their thing. I thought that he was going to come and do something special. he himself and Jared Goff definitely did that, man. So yeah, hats off to him, man. Hopefully we can keep this momentum going.
You know who had the easiest day, like in the history of football today?
Dan Campbell.
Jack Fox. Why did he even put pads on? We did like why did he even put pads on? I saw him warming up before the game at halftime. Didn't have to punt. Didn't need him. I guess we needed him for extra points, but we could have probably sent him out there with in a hoodie and a 12-pack of Marlboros in his back pocket, and he would have been just fine because Jack Fox didn't have to punt the ball today. Yeah, so the offense definitely answered to that bell of not performing at their peak because that was the most efficient offense we've seen from the Detroit Lions in recent memory for me.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Just going out and scoring a touchdown darn near. I think it was like the first seven
straight touchdown drives, and then we ended with a field goal at the end of the season or end of the game with Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, with the twos, man. So it was a phenomenal performance, man. I think that we did what we were supposed to do. It was a team that wasn't to the caliber of us, man. They're a little bit banged up, didn't have their starting quarterback, and we made them look like we were supposed to make them look.
It wouldn't have mattered if they had their starting quarterback. It wouldn't have mattered. They could have had Joe Montana in his prime back there. It wouldn't have mattered today.
I have no evidence to tell you that you're wrong.
I mean, kind of. Well, we'll keep talking offense because I mean we put on such. I heard a stat that it was like somewhere in the top 5 of most yards in a Detroit Lions game history, something like 630 some total yards. I'm trying to pull it up.
I had it. I know it was 600 plus, but I thought that we broke the record.
Total yards 645. I don't know what the record was. I thought I heard like 623 was a number I heard. So one of the stat heads out there, leave it in the comments. Let us know if we did break the record because I've heard we have. I heard we didn't. I'm not sure what to put out there. So regardless, 645 yards or 640 yards of total offense. Absolutely insane. Like we didn't even have a running back that rushed for 100 yards today, and we still put up 640.
Yeah, crazy.
William, these two receivers we have, just put on a clinic today. Like just an offensive clinic. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 11 for 161, 2 touchdowns. Jameson Williams, 4 for 124 and a touchdown, along a 64. And I'll tell you this: if you weren't at the game, you knew when he caught that pass, everyone stood up. It was over. Like the only question was, what's the touchdown celebration going to be? And he did the Marshawn Lynch. Okay.
Yeah. It was crazy, man. It's funny that you say that because I was sitting next to Jared Gordy, man. Shout out to Jared, man. If you watch the show, I'm not going to tell you that we shouted you out, but if you watch the show, you'll know. But I was sitting next to him, and when he caught the ball and he took those first 3 steps, I said, oh, that's a touchdown. And he proceeded to coast his way into the end zone and do the Marshawn Lynch. And I seen a couple people on Twitter. Hey, whatever J-Mo does, somebody's got to hate on. Oh, man, that's too much, man. Like, why you got to do that extra stuff or whatever. One thing I like about J-Mo, and if you really watch him and pay attention to him, he's a football guy. He's a football head, man. So a lot of the times when he's doing celebrations or doing things out there on the field, he's mimicking things that have happened in the history of football. I think about when Calvin Johnson was on deck and he was having his special day, and he did the Calvin Johnson dunking it over the goalpost, paying homage to Calvin Johnson, paying homage to Marshawn Lynch by doing the Marshawn Lynch celebration. He is celebrating the guys who paved the way and did some cool stuff in the NFL before him. He's a football guy. He's a football head. I tip my hat to him. Guys, we got to stop beating this dude up. And it was a great play.
His next Selly needs to be tucking a cell phone underneath the goalpost and scoring in that end zone like Joe Horn did back in like 2001. That's got to be the next one, but that's going to result in a 15-yard penalty. Hey, we'll probably take it. Jake Bates will hit it from midfield, so it doesn't even matter. Yeah, just offensively, there's really nothing you could even criticize. I don't remember any penalties. If there were maybe a couple. I can't even remember because the game was just so out of control for the Jaguars. So we can't even talk or nitpick penalties. It was essentially a perfect game. Like when Dan Campbell's probably going to come out and say, yeah, we got some things to clean up. The only thing you could talk about offensively is maybe a missed block or Jahmyr Gibbs not getting an 80-yard touchdown because his heel got slapped. Like there's really nothing to clean up offensively, in my opinion.
No, it was a phenomenal football game, man. Obviously, we're gonna go back and do some dissecting of the tape, man. But and I'm sure there'll be some things. There's always some things, but you can't really ask for a better football game.
Defensively, William.
What are we talking about?
Aaron Glenn. 0. When you score a field goal, those are cheap points. Those are cheap points, okay? So when I'm going to use this word shutout, I understand that the Jacksonville Jaguars scored the first 3 points of the game, and then for whatever reason, before halftime, I believe they kicked another meaningless field goal while you're down 28. Didn't make a lot of sense to me. Aaron Glenn pitched a shutout today, okay? A dominating defensive performance. And I think the big story, obviously, is Alex Anzalone, going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Broken forearm. I don't know if I gave you the news. I texted you and said, they're walking Alex Anzalone to the locker room, and they're holding his arm very gingerly. I thought it might have been a shoulder, the way they were holding it, like maybe he dislocated his shoulder. But then I saw on Twitter that, while he was on camera, he said it's broken. And it ended up being his forearm.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked right at the guy. I don't know if it was one of the trainers who the guy is, but he looked at him. He said, I broke it, or it's broken, or something along those lines. And I still chose not to believe it until they rolled it out, because even after the half, they said that he was questionable at first, and then they said he wouldn't be back. So I was just like, when I heard that questionable, it was just like I was the dude that was just I know the girl's gonna break up with me, man, but I was just leading that hope in there, like, please, please, please. But hey, he'll be back, and we got dogs, man. We still got Malcolm Rodriguez. We got Germ when Germ comes back, man, eventually. And then we got, obviously, Jack Campbell, man. These guys are going to step in and take care of business. I'm not too worried about it. But it is a huge hit.
Yeah, it does suck, because I feel like lost touch. That was a big loss. Who's your next defensive leader? In my opinion, it's Alex Anzalone. So we're down 2 defensive captains. I know we still got some dudes on the team that are going to, obviously we're going to step up. Jack Campbell, I think, is going to play that role fine. Will we miss Alex Anzalone? Yes. Will we be just fine without him? Yeah. I mean, that's the way that this team has been drafting and signing free agents, like, so that when shit like this happens, next man up, no problem. Bus keeps rolling.
Yeah. I think there's something that is going to happen, and I'm pretty confident about it. And I promise you guys, I will put out the show this week talking about it. But there's something that I think is about to happen. And I just think the stars are aligning. And that might sound crazy after we have an Alex Anzalone injury, that I'm going to say that the stars are aligning for certain things. But I feel like with chaos comes opportunity, right? Every single time. So look at the Aiden Hutchinson situation. Chaos, man. Like we both talked about it when the situation happened. We were both like, man, this could potentially be a game changer for our season as Detroit Lions, right? So, but how'd it end? It ended us going in a run, this team banding together and playing for their brother, and us getting Zadarius, who seems like he is just a phenomenal fit, right? So chaos bred opportunity for kind of pushing Brad Holmes to make a move maybe he wouldn't have made. When you got the defensive player of the year, just getting sack after sack after sack, he's still on the top 10 board with sacks and pressures and whatever, you know what I mean? So I don't think that happens, man, if that doesn't happen. So it's the same thing. I got an idea of something that might be brewing, especially now that we're going to be missing Alex Anzalone. So guys, stay tuned for that.
Speaking of Zadarius Smith.
Yep.
William, this guy showed up in a Rasheed Wallace jersey today. I think he is a active listener to Detroit Den 313, because we just talked about this, put up the picture, see if I can find it if we still have it. Like, this dude pulled up looking like Rasheed Wallace, comes in a Rasheed Wallace jersey. It's kind of ironic, William. I don't know. And then he went out and had half a sack today. Did a nice little celly. Did a nice little celly coming out of the tunnel. Hit the 2 water bottles together and hit the Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like this dude feeds off the crowd energy, man. It's fun to watch. I thought he had a good game. I noticed they kind of. I don't know exactly how many plays he played, but I noticed they kind of kept cycling him in and out, giving him some rest. But I think that's just going to be the way that they use him. But he was in there on most third downs, I believe. So how do you think of his debut?
Honestly, man, I got so removed because we were blasting him and I was just having fun watching it. I didn't watch him as much as I really wanted to. So I'm going to have to go back and watch it. But the little that I did see of him, he looks like a guy that can win one-on-one matchups, man. So I'm excited to go back at the film and really look at it and see how Aaron Glenn used him. But I know we're only seeing a little piece of it as he's learning what we do. So it was great to see him get out there. I was more excited about when he wasn't on the field and they were panning the camera to him. He was always smiling, dancing, coaching. Like he was always engaged in the football game. He was always giving energy. And that's something when CJ Gardner-Johnson came, that's what I thought that he was going to be. I didn't think that he was going to be kind of have the negative impacts that he had with talking trash. You see him and Kirby Joseph fighting. Like I didn't think that he would cause dissension. Zadarius seems like he's the exact opposite, man. He's talking and he's chirping, he's bringing energy, but it's all positive energy. He's coaching guys up in a way to where it's easy to receive, and I think it kind of reflects our coaching staff. So from that aspect of it, I'm just excited to see more of them.
I can't wait, man. I just absolutely can't wait. I'm picturing, and it's really hard because I know Hutch isn't there. He was at the game. They didn't even show him on the Jumbotron. I saw it on Twitter, but I'm just picturing the future, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but the way this defense is set up with just so many movable pieces, versatility, Aiden Hutchinson, Zadarius Smith, Aleem McNeil, like, oh my God, like this defense is set up for a long time to be very successful, and he's going to be a part of it for at least the next, hopefully 2 or 3, maybe 4 years.
Yeah. I think it's set up nice for him. I think, and like you said, not getting too far ahead, but I think we will draft somebody to kind of play that position, right? That like kind of learn. I don't know. I'm not going to say that we're going to go in our first round. Our first round is probably going to be like a second rounder when you pick 32. It's kind of like that. But anyways, when we draft in one of those it's probably top 3 pieces, I think we'll draft somebody that kind of fits that mode of playing opposite of Hutch. But nonetheless, he will be that piece that's anchoring probably next season and probably, teaching that guy coming in. So, yeah, I think he's going to be a mainstay, and kind of like they did with our running backs, us getting another piece to add to him will probably add to his longevity. And if his personality continues to be like this, I think he'll be a guy that we keep around.
Also, my last thing for the defense is just how many interceptions is Kirby Joseph going to end with? Are we going to double digits, teens, 20s? Like, what are we talking here?
Listen, he used the word, and when he used it, I was kind of like, man, I've never heard anybody say that in relation to them making plays. He said, I'm inevitable. It doesn't matter.
That's not true. I heard Thanos say that in the Avengers.
yeah. Hey, listen, when it comes to football, let me retract then. Yeah, he said, I'm inevitable, man. Like, I don't care what you guys do. I'm going to get mine on the back end. He said, I'm in this competition too with Brian Branch. We're doing our thing. And he's going to have to make some plays, man, because I'm inevitable. And he's coming to show that he really is, man. If you leave that ball hanging back there, he's going to make a play on it, man. His days as a receiver really show off when he's playing center field back there.
Yeah, it was another play today. I didn't have a great look at it because it was at the other end zone, but he just broke on the ball that when it was in the air, jumped in front of the receiver. Mine, ball going the other way. I think obviously led to another touchdown. So taking points off the board, putting points on the board. That's what he's been doing. And then Brian Branch, I think it was the very first series, Evan Ingram, RIP. Like, I think they're scraping you off the field with a shovel from that hit he took. Like, Evan Ingram is not a small person. Okay. He's a tight end. We're talking about Brian Branch, who is not a large man, but he absolutely cleanly put his ass in the dirt. Like, I thought that just kind of set the tone right there for the day.
Yeah, man. It's we got an aggressive team that plays downhill. I love it, man. I love everything about this football team. At the end, for those that don't follow us on social media, man, on Twitter, I tagged you in it, but I said, man, doesn't it just feel good, man, Don't it just feel good? I just, it's like I'm dreaming. I'll speak for me. It's like I'm dreaming sometimes. I'm looking today and I'm like, we're absolutely blasting an NFL team. And I know that they're not playing good football and they're 1-9 right now. Right. So I get that. But this is still a really good NFL team. They have a really good roster and they're getting absolutely dominated. It's not normal, man. It's you don't see a lot of that across the NFL. And I'm just thankful to be a part of it, man.
Yeah, I don't know what the Jags need. I mean, if you look at where they are, all right, assuming Trevor Lawrence is their quarterback going forward because they just re-signed him, they got, maybe they need a receiver or running back. I don't know. They got guys who can rush the passer. Maybe they need some secondary help. I don't know if this is a coaching thing for them or what, but when I see them and their record, I think they're 2-8 or 2-9, whatever they are now. It doesn't make sense to me because on paper they should be a lot better. And I don't understand because I saw some stuff that Doug Peterson, their head coach, is going to be fired if he doesn't win this game. Doug Peterson's a Super Bowl winning head coach. Okay. He won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's not like he doesn't know how to win. I'm not sure if there's a gap between their ownership and the coaching staff. I don't know, but we've been in the Jacksonville Jaguars boat. So we're trying to give them a little bit of hope if you're a Jags fan and you're tuning in. I don't know what you guys exactly need to do. I'm not trying to say that everyone needs to follow the Detroit Lions model, but I kind of feel for you because we've been there. We're not too removed from being in that situation. So good luck to them the rest of the season. We probably won't see them again for a couple more years. Maybe they'll be looking like a different football team, but we're focused on the Lions right now. We're 9-1 heading to Indy. Yep. We have 3 games within the next 10 days. So this is a huge stretch of football games for the Detroit Lions too.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for it, man. It's been talked about that we're favored in all these games, but when I look at the next couple games, I really think those are really winnable football games and really could be setting us up to be an 11-1 team, which would just be crazy, man. Be crazy.
Hopefully Anthony Richardson doesn't tap out next week. We'll see. We'll talk about that later in the week.
Absolutely. That's coming.
All right, guys. End of the day, Lions dominate the Jacksonville Jaguars 52-6, put on a clinic offensively, defensively. Special teams wasn't really needed other than our kickoff team. We're getting ready for the Indianapolis Colts. They got some things that I'd like to really talk about. We'll dive into that more later in the week. Leave some comments, stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.